Hey guys, it's Jen from ScanNCut Canvas and Scallop on Facebook. Okay, I am redoing the video on how to strip your mat and then redo it with a zig because one, you do not need to use any harmful chemicals. And actually, I'm thinking even a good warm water soak will help you strip your mat. It's going to take a little bit of extra elbow grease from you. But I'm opening up my other zig pen. I take these with me when I go to class and we use them. But I think even warm water and a good scrape with a hard scraper like my pink ones that you guys get off of me over at my store will actually work. But what I use is just a window cleaner like this one. Now, mind you, this bottle has been refilled with God only knows what kind of window cleaner, but generally any window cleaner is going to work because, like I said, even warm water helps to take it off. And you can see where I did do a warm water soak and started to get it off. So it does work. But what I do is I just put a nice even coat of this stuff over my mat. Like I said, this is pretty harmless as compared to that Goo Gone and what's the name of that other stuff? Goof Off, I think. That stuff stinks and it's pretty nasty. So I just kind of leave this and I let it sit here, and that helps to get all of the nasty stuff that you might have on there. Helps get it off. You can spread it around with your squeegee if you want. And again, it's only cleaner, so it's not going to take off your grid marks on your mat. It's not going to do any damage. It's just a cleaner. And I think this one might have a bit of ammonia in it. It's not really strong. It's not a real strong like scent. But for those of you that can't be around that stuff, just use the warm water. And let it soak, because that heat helps to deal with the adhesive that's on there. And then your hard edge scraper helps to remove it too. And you'll be able to tell. You'll actually see it coming off. Now, like I said, with the warm water, it is going to be a bit more work. Okay, so now I'm going to let this set. I'm not going to do anything else to it. It's just going to sit right here for about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to scrape it off. And all this gunky stuff right here that you already see coming off is going to come right along with it. Alright? So we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to come in here and start scraping. And I just kind of come across, and then I wipe the gunk on a paper towel. And you just, hopefully this is in the camera, yep. I just go around, start scraping just like this. Hold my squeegee up on the edge. And you'll be able to tell when you need to clean the edge of the squeegee off, because it won't dig in anymore. It'll start kind of floating on all that gunk that's underneath it. So just go through and start getting it all off. Work your way around, because I mean, look at this. That's just disgusting. If you are one that has problems with how like fingers on a chalkboard sound, it might be a little bit difficult for you to do this because of how it feels. But just give it a try. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way around this mat. It normally doesn't take too long. And then I'll come back when it's all cleaned off. And I usually check by looking across it with my light. I'll lower it down here. Make sure all of the kind of pieces that I see have been removed, cleaned off, all that good stuff. And then I'll make sure it's all good and dry. All of the excess Windex and that has been removed from the mat. All of the pieces of gunk have been removed as well. And then we'll go ahead and start putting the zig on. So I will return as soon as I'm done with this. Okay, real quick. For those of you that do have my scrapers, do not be afraid to get in here and go to town. This is what I do. I mean, I get in here and I give it a really good scrub back and forth. And then I just take my paper towel and I'll go across it. Oops, forgot to do the edge. This is where I said, those of you that have the fingernail on the chalkboard thing, if you're not holding it at a right angle, it may scream at you. So just adjust your angle, but it has that little thumb divot right there, and it's kind of angled, so you can get a really good grab. And just keep going right on down there. But you see, you get a really nice clean mat. And then when you're done, you'll just respray it and make sure it's all good and clean. But look at the difference between this and this. And also, what's really important is to make sure the back of your mat is clean. If it's not, and you go loading it in there, lots of that stuff will fall down on your scanner glass, and you get that message, cannot load your mats. So make sure that's clean. Also take this opportunity to clean the outside parts of your mat here, because these little dots are your registration marks. So you want them to be nice and clean as well. Also, where your wheels or your rollers, where those go, make sure those areas are nice and clean as well. Okay, I'm going to keep rocking through this. Okay, so done cleaning off all of that. My mat is nice and smooth. There's no granules really left on that, but I do kind of feel just a few of them. So what I do is I take a regular paper towel and just kind of go around in circles to make sure I get everything off of this mat, because I want a nice clean surface to start with. Alright, you don't want anything left on here. Alright, so now we're good to go. So now I have my Zig two-way glue pen. When it's blue, that means that it's still wet, and that's the permanent bond, okay? When it's dry, that's the temporary bond, and it's clear, see-through. But when you go putting this stuff on, you may see me kind of dot it like this. That's just so that it gives me enough to use when I go to spread it around my mat. And when you start putting this stuff on, you don't want to see a lot of that blue stuff, okay? So like right here, as I'm putting this on, that's going to be too thick. So I need to keep working this, alright? Because when that dries, that's going to be super sticky. And you don't want super sticky. Because when you try to put paper on there, you're going to be like, man, what's Jen smoking? That's too sticky. Okay, but this pen, I just cracked it open, so it's got to bleed itself out, kind of, so to speak. If you can't follow the marks on the mat here, freehand, go ahead and tape it off with like some painter's tape, stuff like that. Just when it dries, make sure you go around and remove any adhesive that painter's tape may have left, because you know on your rollers right here, you do not want any adhesive, okay? Alright, so now let me go and start working this in, because I need to get rid of this thick blue stuff. I don't want that right there. So I'm going to go, oops, I forgot to do this side. I'm going to go and hurry up and get these edges done. So I start with my 4 lines around the outside, and you see that one came out really good. It's not too thick. And then I'm going to pull the blue away. I'm just going to start by pulling it down and away and thinning it out so I don't have that huge clumpy blue stuff sitting there. Okay, that is much better already. And if you want, just keep playing with it. I gotta remove. I kind of will go crazy until it starts to thin out here for a little bit, because then you take your light and you look across it and make sure there's a nice sheen in all the spots of your mat, because you don't want to miss any spots or stuff won't stick there. And if you're cutting and the piece happens to be laying there, well, guess what? It's now floating around because it's not sticking to anything. So you want to make sure you get all the spots in your mat. Alright. And again, make sure you do not go over those lines. So if you can't do it freehand, just go ahead and tape it off. Okay, and you see how I'm thinning it out? So now that there's no thick blue stuff anywhere, no puddling, no nothing. Let's come back down here. Right now I'm just focusing on this outside because there's the blue stuff here. And then I'll focus on the inside as soon as I get this thinned out enough. And if you have a different way of doing it, that is absolutely fine. That's one thing I like about the stuff that we do. Sometimes there's no just one way of doing it. Sometimes there is, but a lot of times there isn't. And that's what makes it fun. Oops. I got a little bit on the outside here. And when you get this done, I'm probably doing it where you can see it good. When you get this done, you have to make sure you let it dry for the 24 hours. If you start to use it before then, you'll notice that your tack is not very good. Or if it is very good, it's not going to last very long. I made that mistake once when I first started doing this. I used it like within 5 hours, and my tack didn't last very long at all. I think I actually even helped it dry with the heat gun. I needed a mat. So I learned that lesson. Just let it dry. So that's why it helps having more than one mat. Always clean your mats with your alcohol-free baby wipe before or after you cut. I do mine before, so that I know that it's actually clean. I do store my mats totally uncovered because that way it makes me have to clean my mats. You can do whatever you like. There's no set way to do anything. Okay, so I'm just going through and I'm checking. I'm looking compared to the light because the light's above me. Oops, got to get that cool right there. And I'm making sure that each little spot on my mat is wet, but it's not blue, so that it's been touched by this, but it's not going to be so sticky that I can't pull it off and then I have to soak it in my tub to get it to come off. There's a little bit too thick of blue right here. So I bet you're probably wondering, well, look at how thick that is. How's she going to get it off? That's how you do it right there. So you go ahead and put it on and then you work it out. Work it from the edges in. That's why I love these zig glue pens. And this zig is so awesome because you can put stuff on there and it holds it, like it just sucks it right on down like it's the best permanent glue ever. But when you go to take it off, it just pops off. So it works so good. Okay guys, there it is. My fully zigged mat. So I'm going to set it over on my no animal and dog or cat land so that it can't get pet hair all over it, and I'm going to let it dry. And now this mat will be good for a full year. Okay, at least a year. Sometimes I'll redo mine just because they look dirty and gross, and with doing class, I don't want to show up to class with the world's dirtiest, grossest looking mats. So I will redo them. But it's not for the tack. It's just for the look. Plus, I also wanted to redo this video for you to replace that one with the Goo Gone. Alright guys, if you have any questions, come and find me over at ScanNCut, Canvas, and Scal Help on Facebook. Become a member so that I can help you. Thanks guys.